right, so guys, we are going to begin now. What we will be discussing this morning is how GP system administrators can manage their day-to-day jobs, more so on the system administrative side. Now, when it is we talk about system maintenance, we talk about security, we talk about database backup procedures, we talk about updating your statistics, as well as recompiling stored procedures. Let me just bring up my GP screen. All right, so when we talk about system security, what we are mentioning is how security is used to help us increase our security for our Microsoft Dynamics GP environments. There are different levels of security that GP provides. There are about 7 of them. The first one would be system security. This deals with systems password for your Microsoft Dynamics GP environment. What it does, it controls the access to the system, as well as it allows you to set security for your new user records. If you're printing any reports that contains information, it helps protect that information as well. System level security is controlled through the use of a password, and only a few users should know that password. So in order for you to set a system security password, you go to administration, then setup, and you click on system password. Here it allows you to enter a new password to protect your system database. Once that is completed, you may, if any reason, you may forget your password and you may not know how to reset your password. So in order to change your GP system password, you can use a query that allows you to reset your Microsoft Dynamics GP system administrative password. So in SQL Server, if you click on new query, by updating this password against your GP company, what this allows is the removal of your system administrative password. So once you run this, you're able to set a new password to protect your GP application. Another one of the security is the company user access security. What this does, it controls the access to your companies on a per user basis. So I would have created my user already in the system, and my user is John Doe. However, once you create a user for the first time, that user does not have any access to any of the GP companies until you grant them user access to any particular company. So you would click on the user access, you would select the user, and then you're going to choose whether you're going to give them access to Fabricam or whatever live or test companies you have created. Right now, my user has access to the Fabricam company, and I'm going to click OK. Now, when you grant company rights on individual, what this does is allows you to control which users have access to the companies that you created. So John Doe may have access to 3 or 4 companies, and SA may have access to the whole suite of companies within the Dynamics GP system. Once you have created your user and provided that user access, we now need to create a user task. The user tasks are assigned to the roles, and it grants access to windows, reports, files, or any resources that you may have within Dynamics GP. So within the user security task window, this allows you to see what work needs to be done as well as undertaken. So the sales user roles or task would be different from a purchasing user capabilities within the system. Under the user security task menu, to create a task, we need to enter a task ID. You can give it a task name and a task description, or you can copy from an existing security task. Here you can search for the task that you would like to copy. And I'm going to copy my inquiry sales task ID. So I would be able to view view customers, sorry. And I'm going to click OK. Here you select from the product list. If you're using any Microsoft Dynamics GP products or outside of Microsoft Dynamics GP, you're going to select the type list, which allows you to limit access to the items that you want to view. I would only like to view windows. And then we're going to select the series, which would be sales. Now, I have the whole range of items displayed here. I can also select display selected items, which is going to show me only the items that I have selected. If I select a couple more and I click display selected items, it's going to show me the items that I have selected. By double clicking on a window, this allows the window to access a view. The view is linked to the GP window for the customer inquiry section, which allows you to see which window you have access to. Same thing if I click the cache documents, I'm able to view the cache documents window. Now that I've assigned my user security task, I need to assign a role for that task. The security roles basically contain those security tasks that the user needs to access to do their job. So some default security roles have been created. However, we are going to create our individual security role. I'm going to click Save, and then I'm going to click on Security Role. Here I'm going to name my security role Sales Manager. You also have the option to copy from an existing role, or you can select, or you can create, your own role using entering the role ID, then entering a role name and a role description. Currently, if I select the space selected task, the only role or the only task, that I have access to is the default user ID. If I scroll down, I can see that there are numerous tasks in which I can select. However, I'm going to select my sales task, which we created earlier. So we are able to view customers within the sale task, and we're going to assign it to our role. Now, once that is assigned to our role, we need to give a user the security so that they can do their day-to-day functions. So that will bring us to individual user security. This is a role-based Microsoft Dynamics GP security. So each user must be assigned a security before they can access any forms, any reports, or any data within Microsoft Dynamics GP. So the user which I've created is John Doe, and I'm going to assign John Doe the security role in which we have just created. I'm going to select the company that he has access to. And then I'm going to select the sale manager's role that I created. Please note that you can differentiate between a GP user role and a role in which you created yourself. GP user roles or task has an asterisk at the end, and any role that you created does not have an asterisk. So you can differentiate between the two, and it's always best to create your own role or task rather than modifying a GP defined role or task, because once you break it, you may not be able to go back and fix it. You may not remember what exactly that task or that GP user defined role contained. So I'm selecting the sales manager GP user role that we have created, and I'm going to assign the default user so we have access to the alternate modified forms and reports. And I'm going to click Save. Once we have completed that, our user John Doe is now able to enter into GP and begin their day-to-day operations. Now, there may be instances where you need to perform some system maintenance duties and you need those users to be out of the system. Now, it is always recommended practice to have a maintenance backup every evening. It's also important to perform backups during the day if you're doing period or year-end closes, and one of our consultants would be actually presenting on a year-end close, how to perform a year-end close on the 11th, so you all can tune in for that. Even if you're doing maintenance routines like check links or reconcile, making a backup before you start is highly recommended, because you don't want an instance where something goes wrong and you have lost your data, or you have corrupted your data in some form or fashion. So before you perform any system maintenance duties, I would also recommend taking your company offline. Once you take a company offline, you are able to prevent other users from entering that company. So therefore, no other user can continue work within the company that you're doing system maintenance activities on. So once the users log out of that company, they would not be able to log back in until the company has been given online access. So in Microsoft Dynamics GP, Tools, Utilities, System, take company offline, Here you can see that we currently have our Fabricam company and our test company online. If I decided to take our Fabricam company offline, it shows that we have one user that's currently logged in. You can click on the current users and you can see the list of user or users that are currently within the company. Currently, it's SA because I'm logged in at the moment. Once you realize that there are persons within the environment, you can either send them a default message or you can have a custom message of your own. And then you can click OK. You're going to be prompted that there are users logged into the company that you're trying to take offline, and do you want to send the message? We're going to click yes. Here you can send the message in two ways. You can either send it as a task reminder or a notification message. You can select the users to send the message to and then click send. Right? So it takes some time for the message to pop up, but once it does, the users would be notified that they would need to come out of the system. Now, for instance, if it is I was to log out of Microsoft Dynamics GP, so here we can see the message that tells us to sign out. And if I go to log out of Microsoft Dynamics GP and I try to access the company, I'm going to see that it's offline. If you are a user that does not have SA user privileges, you would be unable to log within the company. However, SA users can log in and out of the company at their convenience. So I'm getting prompted that the company that I've selected is currently offline for maintenance. Do I currently want to log in? And I'm going to click yes. So once I'm logged into the company, and once I've performed my maintenance on the system, I can now turn my company from offline to online so users can now enter the system. And as simple as just selecting the company and removing it from under the offline companies. So if I go back into Microsoft Dynamics GP, my company is no longer offline and it's available to be accessed. Another one of the system administrative duties that a system administrator may perform is checklinks. Basically, this is a maintenance routine that's available in Dynamics GP, and it can be run across all modules, and it is used to correct problems which occur in data. So what this means is that the checklinks causes data in related tables in your backend to be examined against each other for consistency. Once this is done, you can be able to go into Microsoft Dynamics GP, maintenance, checklinks. You have your list of logical tables that you may have issues with. You can select it, insert it, and select OK. Now, once you select OK, once the message prompt comes up after that, even though you cancel it, it doesn't mean that you have canceled out of the process of the checklinks being run. All it means is that you cancel the window, but the checklinks would still continue in the backend. Please note that the checklinks can take a significant amount of time, and this depends on your data size as well as your processing power. So please be prepared to let any process finish once it has started. Another system maintenance procedure would be the reconcile. A reconcile also compares data in your corresponding tables, and it makes any adjustments as needed. Under Microsoft Dynamics GP, maintenance, tools, utilities, inventory, reconcile. All right, so this one I would also recommend that you run frequently. The reason for this is that a reconcile checks your item quantities, your allocated quantities, your quantities on hand, and make any correction that is needed. Because there are instances where your allocations may be off, or the amount of inventory that you have on hand may be off as well, and it may be just selecting the different items within the system that may need correcting and reconciling against those items. Another example would be a financial reconcile. This could be used to correct account totals. So a reconcile can also be used if you're doing a change in your fiscal year periods as well. So what the system would do, it would go through and check all the account balances against the transactions that are posted. And to get to run a financial reconcile, you go to Tools, Utilities, Financial, and Reconcile. So you can select the year, and you can select which available year you'd like to reconcile against, and that is going to take the system through all your account balances against all transactions that you have already posted. So say for instance, you need to back up your Microsoft Dynamics GP system. There are two ways you can go about doing it. You can either back it up from SQL, which most of you would know as a system administrator by clicking on the GP table, task, backup. However, we're going to back it up a little bit differently. We're going to back it up within Microsoft Dynamics GP. So here, you must be logged in into GP as SA, which I'm currently logged in as, or Dyn SA, or any user that has permissions to perform a backup. If you are not going to be able to back up within Microsoft Dynamics GP. So because I'm a selected user who has permission, which is the SA user, I do have those privileges. So I'm going to go on Microsoft Dynamics GP, then maintenance, and then we go to backup. Here we can select which company we would like to back up. I'm going to back up my Fabricam company, and I'm going to select the backup file where I have it stored. It's going to ask me if I would like to replace this. I'm going to select yes, and then select OK. Here it's currently backing up our Dynamics GP company. So depending on the size of your database, it may take some time. If your database is really large, it's going to take an extensive amount of time to do. So now that our Fabricam company has been successfully backed up, I'm going to click OK. Now, once I've backed up my company, you may want to restore that company database. In order to restore your company database, you cannot be in the company that you're trying to restore. So I'm going to switch out into my test company. Microsoft Dynamics GP, maintenance, and restore. So here's basically the same process for you to restore a company database. You would select the company that you're trying to restore, select the backup file, right? Here you would actually search for the backup file that you're trying to restore, and then you click OK to restore that company. Now, unlike Microsoft Dynamics, where you have to be logged in as SA or DynaSA to do a backup, with regards to doing a restore, you must be logged in using SA. So backups, you could be logged in as SA or DynaSA, but to do a restore, it must be performed by an SA user. And those of you who are wondering, basically, what's the difference between SA or DynaSA user, there's not much of a difference other than the fact that an SA user has access to the SQL database system administration functionality. So they have full access to that. And they also have access to all non-related GP databases as well. The DynaSA GP database administrator only has access to GP databases. So any GP database functionality, you can go ahead and create those tasks using DynaSA. DynaSA is created when you run your utilities to create a company. It's automatically created for you that you can use. However, you can use SA for the same functionality. It's just you have access to GP and non-GP related databases. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to perform another sort of backup. This backup where we're going to perform is backing up a live database onto a test database, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. What we're going to do, we're going to actually do it based on a schedule. That way you can have that backup update your test company at a particular schedule of your choice. So to do that, we're going to enter SQL. Now, the first thing that we would need to do is to select which database that we want to back up against our test company. So I only have two databases here, one called test and one called 2. This is the Fabricam company. So if in order for us to create a scheduled backup, I'm going to right click on this database, and then I'm going to go task, and then I'm going to go backup. I'm going to select copy only database, What this does is that it ensures that it doesn't interfere with any maintenance backup that is being run. Here we can see our destination where it's being backed up to, and I'm going to click script. All right, by generating a script, it actually generates onto a query window. All right, so that's the first step. Then we're going to click OK. And we'll just wait for that to execute. All right. Now that is done, we're going to create a restore script. So we're going to right click on the test company, task, and restore database. Here we're going to select the database that we backed up. And then once we have selected that database, we're going to overwrite the existing database, which would be our test database. And once we override that test database, we are going to create a script based off of that. So here I've selected my database that I backed up. I'm going to overwrite my database that I'm currently restoring to. And then I'm going to create a script off of that, which generates to another query window. So we're not actually going to do the restore yet. So I'm going to cancel this. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to actually create a job. So this job is going to allow us to build our schedule and how we would like our schedule to be run. So under management, under management and then under maintenance plans, here we can create a new job. All right, so here we can create the name of our maintenance plan, and we can create sub-plans as well. We have another option where for the new job here, we can give it a name. This is actually the one that we're going to use, but this is also another option that you can select a schedule maintenance to be run. But in the purpose of doing a schedule backup of test over live, we're going to use a new job that we're going to create. And we're going to copy and paste the generated backup script. So this is restore. I'm going to X this off for now. And this is the backup script. Here, I paste the script within the description window, and then I'm going to select OK. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to create a second step, and I'm going to restore to test. Oops, what happened there? All right, and then select OK. This is backup script. And I'm going to create a new step, which is called restore. Right, and this as well is going to be restored against the test database company. You're going to select OK. Now we need to copy and paste a generated script that is actually provided by Microsoft that allows us to change the intercompany ID. If we do not do that, we're going to receive a bunch of errors because we're copying from a live system, and we're copying the same information to a test database. It's going to have the same intercompany ID, and we don't want that because we're not going to be able to utilize the system. So we're going to create a new step, and we're going to call that change intercompany ID. Let me just get my script here. So once you have that script, you're going to also run the script against your test company. And then we select OK. Now there's one more script that we need to input for all of this to come together, and that would be to change the database owner to Dynasty. This is our GP database, and like I said previously, Dynasty has access to all GP companies. So this new script is going to be called change database owner. And we're going to apply this against our test. All right, so that's fine. I'm currently logged in. I'm logged in on the Fabricam actually. If I was to switch to my test company, this was a brand new created company, so it actually does not have any data within it. Right, my database has not been configured as yet. Right, but we're actually going to just populate it with Fabricam information. In order for you to do any sort of restore, you cannot be within Dynamics GP. So now that we have our 4 scripts here, I'm going to select OK. And now we're going to create a schedule. And this schedule is going to allow us to tie everything together. So we're going to give our schedule a name. Let me bring up what we created. Before I create the schedule, you can also do an ad hoc start job at step. So this allows you to actually create this backup at whim. So once you click create job, you select the first step and then you click start. By doing this, is actually going to go through the process and update the system, allowing you to actually apply what you have created. So we will leave that to run in the meantime. And I would like all you to bear in mind that depending on the size, again, depending on the size of your database, is going to depend on the length of time this takes to run. So I got an error. All right. So if you do get an error, you can view it within the history. And this actually tells you what's the issue that you're having. So it was unable to run step 2. So there's probably some issue with the script that I currently have in there. Right, so we could go back and view what we have inputted. So this is the first script. The second script. That's my issue here. It's currently pointing to use master, and that's not what we want. We actually want it to run against test. Right? So let's select OK again. And let's run the job once more. And for all my system administrators out there, you know that this is something that you always have to do. In the event of anything, there's always troubleshooting. So you need to get down to see what's causing the issue and then fix the issue and then apply the solution. So we'll leave that for a couple of minutes to run. Okay. So still got another error. Let's see. Okay, so it's definitely something within the script. So to save time, I would have to go back through the script and see what actually went wrong. But once you have created all your scripts, you can now create the schedule. So you'll create a new schedule The schedule could be recurring, it could be a one-time run. It can be set automatically to run. You can have it as a daily, weekly, or monthly schedule. And then you're going to put your start date and your end date, or you could have no end date at all. Here I'm going to leave it as a weekly run, and it's going to run every Saturday at 12 o'clock a.m. and you select OK. This creates your new schedule, which would run every week and update your test company with your live data. If you do not want your company to be updated on a weekly basis, like I said, you could either do a daily or monthly, depending on your choice. I'm going to log back in within Dynamics GP. And then my Fabricam complete. All right, so what we're going to talk about now is updating your statistics. A system administrator should update their statistics monthly on every database. They could even update it more frequently, and this would depend significantly if you have a large amount of data, or if you have a significantly a data decrease. If you did a purge, you must run your statistics, and that would allow you to consolidate all the information within the database. In order to run a statistics, you need to go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, Maintenance, SQL. You can select the database and at least one table, so which means you can select one or more. So you must select at least one table and mark the Update Statistics option. Once this is checked, you can then select Process. You could also use the SQL Maintenance window to adapt stored procedures to data tables that has significant increases and decreases as well, and it will also result in better performance. And this is by using recompiling stored procedures. In order to recompile your stored procedures, you go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, Maintenance, SQL again. Here you can select a database, and again you can select either one or more companies, one or more tables, and then you could select recompile. And this allows you to make changes to your database that affect your statistics. So your stored procedure may lose efficiency, and thereby you may need to recompile those stored procedures. And by recompiling those stored procedures, they act on the table and you optimize your queries. Now, when this optimization happens, and it happens automatically, right? If, for example, if you have new indexes are added, or the stored procedure is not being optimized automatically, you should recompile your stored procedures. You should also recompile it on a frequent basis as well, and it allows you to perform period consolidation. Lastly, I wanted to touch on client updates. So if you are a company that uses thick clients, so you have a lot of users and each of them have their own computer using the client update functionality can be a real time saver to you. So in order for you to utilize that functionality, you can go to Administration, System, and then Client Updates. Here you can define your updates for clients the next time that they log in. So you can create an update for either service pack, you can create an update for an hotfix, or you can create an update for a dexterity type. So you can give your update a name, and we're going to do a service pack. And the update clients at next use option is automatically checked. Here, you can either type in or browse for the UNC path, select your update, and then you can click Save. Now, once you have done this, when a client attempts to log on, they would be prompted to install the update. If the update is not deployed, the client would not be able to log into the system. So once all clients have updated their service pack, you can then go back in and remove it. So guys, that will be all that I'm going through with you all today. If you have any questions, you can use the Q&A chat, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, so in the first question, I'm saying in security role setup, why do some security task IDs in the list have asterisk at the end? Okay, so I would have answered that previously. The asterisk at the end are GP-defined security task, or you may have GP-defined security roles. So you can differentiate those by the asterisks. If there are no asterisks, it's because you would have created those yourself. Next question, can a user have multiple roles, or is there a better way? Yes, a user can have multiple roles because they may have a power user role where they have access to maybe the sales modules, the purchasing modules, and inventory. So you can assign multiple roles to that particular user. Next question. What is the easiest way to get all the security tasks assigned under a role? The easiest way to get the security task assigned under a role would be firstly creating your task under administration, security task. You would create all your tasks here, save them. So obviously it will be one by one. And then under security roles, once you bring up a particular security role, you can actually see the task assigned. If the task that you have not that you have created is not assigned to the role, you can go through here and then select those tasks that you would have created and assign them to the role. So that will actually be the easiest way, giving the user access to all the tasks for a particular role. Next question, is taking the company offline in GP the same as using SQL Management Studio to take the company database offline? So, okay, so when you're using take a company offline, this is not an option that you do within SQL. It is actually done within GP solely, and it's just for the functionality of not allowing users to access the database. so not allowing them to actually log back into the company. In SQL, what you do to remove users is actually removing them from the activity table, which actually bumps the user out of the company that they're currently working in. What version of GP am I demoing? GP2018. Is there an advantage of using the backup utility within GP as opposed to using native SQL? There is. There's not an advantage of using it in GP. There's an advantage of using it outside of GP. Reason being, you have a lot more options when you're doing your backup, because you could either do a differential backup, you can do a full backup, you can also recompile while doing your backups, so you can make sure that no users are in the system and all of that. When you do it within GP, it's just a full backup. You don't have any options to tell you if you want to do anything outside of a full backup. So it's always better if you're not doing a full backup or you want to add other options to your backup to do it outside of SQL. Can a backup be done to a network shared folder? Yes, it can. So there's an option where you can save to a directory, and within there, you would enter your UNC path. So for example, if I was to do a backup here, I would remove this and I would add, and here, my UNC path is where I would put the UNC path and save my backup. Right, here, like I said, you have the different backup options, right? And you can do compressions and all of that. You can state if you want your backups to expire. Within GP, you don't have these options. So you got a lot more options doing your backups outside of Dynamics GP. Where can we get the Microsoft Dynamics SQL scripts that change company IDs and the change database owner from SA to Dyn SA? So it's actually on a Microsoft blog, which I can send to you guys if you all are interested. And that has all the steps of creating a live company over test, as well as changing the intercompany IDs, as well as changing the database owner to Dyn SA. The only difference that I did here today was doing it on a schedule, which can be very beneficial because you don't have to actually go and do the restore the test yourself.